Hi, Penn. I have to say that when I was first listening to your video, I was kind of reluctant to agree with not letting the government um, kind of regulate uh, privacy, and but after watching your video, I thought about it, and I ended up agreeing with you because it makes a lot of sense to. Um, I think, handle things ourselves, and really, I think it would be for the best if we did that, um, and not letting a kind of like a self, kind of like an organization that kind of looks a lot for kind of like self-preservation, like the government does. Unfortunately, it does. I mean, in a perfect society, the government would be composed of very honest people representing everyone else, but for a lot of the for a lot of times, that's not the case. I think the reason why initially I thought otherwise, and why a lot of other people think that the government should go into do stuff like this, like regulation, is because I think we have a reluctancy. I think we don't want to really get our hands dirty. We don't want to do things ourselves. Like I don't really feel like personally like shutting off my Facebook account, and a lot of people using Facebook don't want to either. But like at the same time, they'd like to keep their Facebook account and make it so that uh, their uh, their actions on Facebook or whatever they do on Facebook is kept confidential. Um, I guess you can call it a kind of laziness on our part, and I think it's the same kind of problem that we have in any kind of social, like mass social abuse, like let's say in this scenario where, like, I don't know, like the government is abusing the citizens and the citizens aren't really doing much about it, or you can have a corporate abuse too, like America has had with the health insurance industry. um, I think it's that people just are very comfortable with the services that they have. I mean, people are very comfortable with Facebook, and they don't want to have to get rid of their Facebook account in order to fight for what they want, and they don't really want to fight for the ability to have better health care by getting rid of the health insurance that's readily available. I mean, if I think if people had a sense of, I guess, acting in their own self-interest. I mean, anyone with a problem would, if any problem like would be solved just by every single person who has a problem with it standing up, going to whoever is, let's say I don't know, if the government is abusing the citizens, they just stand up, go to the government, and pretty much just yell outside the building holding up signs. And I'm not talking about 1,000 or 10,000 people like we see every day. I'm talking about like every single person who actually cares about whatever law they don't approve of, or whatever. And really, like, the government would have to give in, or else they'd lose all credibility. I mean, if you have just like every single person in the United States who doesn't agree with X law, and let's say it's a lot of people, because a lot of people are affected by this law, or this policy, just get up and just say, like we don't want this, let's change it. Um, I'd guess it would be like as close to a revolution you can get without actually getting violent. Just a show of this is what the people want, and like there's no credibility for you if you don't do it, because it's a heck of a lot of people. But people don't do that. People don't all of a sudden just stop buying health insurance because they say, oh, well, I don't like how the system works, screw you. I'm not going to buy your health insurance. I want better service. And people could do that. If people really want, if people wanted, people do want better, but they don't want to go through the hassle of I guess, using the power in numbers that they actually do have to get what they want. Every single American could just cut off their health insurance right now and say, we want better health insurance, and the health insurance industry would have to give it to them, or else they would go out of business. And I think you're perfectly right about this. I think the only reason I would have had a moment of, reluctance to say no to government regulation is because I do want stuff like that to happen, but I also don't see this kind of power in numbers mentality around me. People just are don't feel like tapping into the strength that they have as a consumer and as a citizen. So I think that you're right. It's kind of dangerous to start, letting the government tell, you know, a store what they're allowed and not allowed to do within, I guess, like reasonable bounds, or what a service is or is not allowed to use when they're a private service. Um, but at the same time, if we are going to steer away from government regulation, we are going to have to start standing up for ourselves, and I think that's very important. Um, but I don't know how to change that kind of mentality of like, oh, like I don't want to risk losing, I don't know, like my TV shows, because like I don't want to miss an episode of whatever because I'm walking to Parliament. I think that's kind of a sentiment that a lot of people have. People were very comfortable the way things are, and before we know it, things aren't going too well for us because we've let abuses cross the line and enter our society. So I guess that's all I have to say. I kind of rambled a bit, but that's pretty much the sentiment I have.